This podcast is sponsored by Lucy and Yak, and I'm so excited to share their Indie Biz program with you. Running an independent business means making tough choices, and sustainable options aren't always the most affordable. That's why Lucy and Yak are offering 40% off their sustainably made workwear, including aprons, so you don't have to compromise. Sign up to Indie Biz, and not only will you get the discount, but you could also be featured across Lucy and Yak's channels, spotlighting your business. Plus, they've got exciting plans for 2025, including Indie Biz markets. Head to the Lucy and Yak website to apply and join the community. Have you ever spent hours creating the perfect Instagram post and got crickets? Same. Imagine this instead. A fashion brand sets up a What's Your Style personality quiz using Score app. Shoppers get personalised product recommendations and you get email sign-ups, warm leads and a few cheeky sales. You can even use Score app for product waitlists, competitions and so much more. It's the perfect lead generation tool for your fashion brand. So head to scoreapp.com/fashion and get an exclusive 50% off your first month with Score app, or use the code FASHION at the checkout. Welcome to the final episode of this season of the Fashion Brand Clinic, and I couldn't think of a better way to close things out with gorgeous guest Fisayo, the powerhouse behind Kai Collective. And if you've been anywhere near Instagram over the last few years, you have probably seen her iconic Gaia print, but Kai is so much more than just one viral moment. It is like a brand rooted in empowerment, bold expression, and community. So in today's episode, I want to take a bit of a different approach, almost like a time capsule of what Kai Collective looks like right now. And we're going to dive into what's really happening inside Kai at the moment, the systems, the team, the decisions, and the challenges, just like all of it. So you're going to hear how Fisayo has created one of the most fiercely loyal communities I have ever seen online, including sample sales that are so popular. People literally fly from the US to attend. So welcome, Fisayo. So excited to chat to you. Thank you for coming on to the podcast.
Wow, what an intro. Thank you so much for having me. While you were talking, I was like, wow, that's amazing. Can't believe it's me.
Who is this woman? She sounds great. So let's rewind a little bit and talk about what inspired you to start Kai Collective.
So I have been a fashion blogger. I started fashion blogging in 2012. Love traveling, so it was like a fashion and travel blog. And when I would travel, I would look for fabric and then I would make clothes with the fabric that I bought, wear it on my blog, and then Instagram, when Instagram started, and people would always ask me like, where did you get that from? And that was when I realized like this can actually be a business. I've always been a very entrepreneurial person, even as a child. So I was like, you know what, I can actually make and sell these things. And so in 2016 I decided to start doing that.
Amazing. What were you doing as a child that was like entrepreneurial? I want to know.
I made like I lived in an estate and I made a newsletter for my estate. I had a girl band and we were called Destiny Girls. Very, very much a copy of Destiny's Child.
Yeah, I was getting that.
Our parents and their friends paid to watch us perform. And then when I was in secondary school, just as I was growing up, I was the eBay girl. So I sold everything on eBay and I would help my friends sell stuff on eBay and I'll take a commission.
Would you? Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I was very much an eBay girl as well. Maybe it was like a sign that we were ready to make our own money. I remember wanting to go to Cos on holiday with all my girls and my mum was like, well, you can go, but you've got to sell some stuff to go. And I was like, I'll sell everything. Don't you worry about that. And I came out with money ready to go.
Literally one in, one out.
Yeah. So were there any moments within like the growth that really stood out? Like obviously we've mentioned the Gaia dress. Like for anyone that doesn't know, maybe give us a little rundown of that, because that was a big turning point for you, right?
Yeah, so I started Kai in 2016, and when I always say Kai basically failed as soon as it launched. Like it was not the success that I had hoped for and I really thought it would be. I went in very, very confident. If anything, my confidence has dropped since starting the business because I went in with the highest expectations. I've always expected a lot of myself. I've always been very kind of positively optimistic when it comes to business, and business has been very humbling.
Yeah.
But then yeah, so started the business, it didn't do so well. And after a while, I realized, you know, we don't have a USP, which is a unique selling point for everyone who doesn't know. It was very much what was on the market at the time, which was kind of minimalist. And I'm very much not a minimalist person. I mean, today I'm wearing like beige, but usually I'm very much in color. That's my vibe. You can see the artwork in my house. So I was like, you know what? We need to stand out. We need to tap into my roots. We need color. We need vibes. And that was when we started to do prints. So Gaia was our first major print that we designed, and it just went viral. It was a very, very colorful dress. We had it printed on like a see-through mesh dress. And so it was a dress that really encouraged all the girls to embrace their true selves and all their curves. And we had people in all sizes wearing Gaia. It was a really beautiful moment. And that was really what puts us on the map. That was in 2020. Up until that point, we had really struggled to keep the brand alive. And then we launched Gaia, and the brand grew like massively. I think from like maybe 20K in the year before to 400K the year after, the year we launched Gaia. Yeah, that's the rundown on Gaia.
Wow. Yeah, they are some like serious numbers. And then just riding off the back of that momentum, I guess. And that, like I said earlier, there's one thing having this viral moment, but there is another thing is like making the most of that viral moment. I think so many people are like, oh my God, I've gone viral. Like, now what?
Yeah.
And so you have obviously managed to kind of build success off the back of that and then keep it going as well and have even more viral moments since then. So is there anything you'd say to people that like, yeah, if they kind of do go viral accidentally or planned, how to keep that going? Because I think momentum is so underestimated in business.
Yeah, momentum is everything. I've learned a lot. I was overly conscious of Gaia being a one-hit wonder that I would say I abandoned it too early. Like Kris Jenner says, never abandon the mothership. I was no longer producing the Gaia dresses when people still wanted them. Like people still wanted the OG colors. And I was like, you know what, that's done, because I was like, I really did not want to be a one-hit wonder. So we quickly moved on to other styles so that people would come to the brand for other things. But I would say it's a balance. We could have continued producing Gaia and continued producing the colors that people wanted and getting some additional revenue into the business while pivoting at the same time. So that's one, not regret, but slight, like I would have done it differently. I would have milked Gaia a bit more. Yeah. But to not be a one-hit wonder and to capitalize off of your viral moments, you really do just have to keep churning the ideas. You cannot get high off your own supply and think like, okay, I've made it, because you haven't made it. It's literally just the beginning of the viral movement. You have to have systems in place to be able to support the viral movement. I was ready because I thought that we would be successful so early on, and we were not. By time we actually hit this level of success with Gaia, which was not even ultimate success, but it was our first taste of success, I was ready for it. It was still just me and my sister and the pandemic packing the orders, but I was ready to pack hundreds of orders a day. So the systems in place to be able to support your viral moments and the ideas to keep churning them out. One thing we learned a lot after Gaia, because there was a lull, there was a dip, especially because the pandemic was so amazing for us as a business that we boomed and everything was selling out. And so the next year I was like, you know what? Financially, this does not make sense. We can't keep selling out. We need to produce more units. So I put all of our money into stock. And as you know, in the fashion industry, there was a bit of a recession dip after the pandemic. And so we had so many units we were sitting on. And the traditional model of like 2 collections a year wasn't working for us. So it was at that point that we pivoted to drops. Now we do monthly drops. We do not do collections every month. So there have been different things that I've learned over the years off of the back of the success and then the dip after Gaia. But a key one I would say is to keep that momentum going, you have to have whether it's newness that keeps coming to your website or moments that keep happening, you must ensure that there's conversation and there's buzz continuing to grow around the brand.
Yeah, great advice. I'm just sat here like, yes, yes, and trying to nod without making my earrings like jingly jangly in the background. But you mentioned there about buying more stock, which can feel like a really scary risk for a lot of people. What I've heard you speak on a couple of other podcasts, and I feel like you're not afraid to take risks, which is where the business has probably grown like quicker than maybe some others. So is there any like standout moments for you where you've had like where you've taken a huge risk and it's either paid off or not paid off?
I am afraid to take risks. I would say I was not afraid to take risks when the business started, but as I said, business has been very humbling. And now I'm really trying to get back to my old fearless self because that
Yeah.
was a risk that did not pay off. During when 2020 happened and 2021 came, and I was like, I'm going to invest 3 times as much in our inventory to be able to meet the demand. It did not pay off. We did not get the sales, and we were sitting on a bunch of stock. So that's an example of a risk that did not pay off. And it was a very, very, very challenging time, very difficult to overcome. Clearing that stock, getting money to move on to new stuff that people wanted to buy. We overproduced the stuff that people did not want to buy. So the risks haven't always paid off. I am in a time in the brand now where the risks are kind of paying off. So I'm doing things like hiring 2 people to do content, where in the past we only hired one, being like, okay, we need to keep churning out content that connects with people. It has not paid off yet. I'm hopeful that it will. We have had risks pay off. I'm trying to think what risks have paid off. I am in a time now where if before we used to order, like our base order of an item was the MOQ, which was 200. And the other day we placed an order for 3,000 of one item. That's a huge risk. I know it's to pay off. It's already paying off because the item, this is our now tank top. We can't keep it in stock. It's constantly selling out. Even our jeans that we launched in February, it's been sold out since then. Now that we're restocking about 6 times as much in terms of quantity what we first ordered. That's going to pay off. I just know it. So, yeah.
Because that's a very measured risk. Like, I think some people really, I've had chats with clients recently where they kind of beat themselves up for not buying more stock from the offset. And I was like, you didn't know anything about it. Like, you're allowed to play it safe until you get some reaction. And then you go in and like take a risk on stock. And I think that example in 2020 is like, it's not your fault that like the world suddenly changed and therefore, people just wanted to buy different things. I'm sure if that wasn't the situation in the world at the time, that stock probably would have carried on selling. It's just like shit timing, basically. But yeah, I know that tank top and the jeans have done it so well. It's like such a cool outfit, and very recognizable as well. And just doing things that are, I don't know, kind of like basics in inverted commas, but have really got your stamp on them, like quite literally with the tank top. So you mentioned there with your team, you've got 2 people doing content. Like, talk us through what your team currently looks like. How many people are in-house versus freelance? Like, what's going on behind the scenes?
Yeah, I've been spending the past like 3 months trying to hire a really good operations manager. Finally done that, but she hasn't started yet. She starts next week. I'm very, very excited about that. She'll be the most senior person that we've had so far. She's just finished an MBA. She has experience working in the fashion industry, so I'm very excited about that. Because I'm really trying to hire senior. We just have not had enough of that. Is where I'm the smartest person in the company. We're at the point where that really needs to change, and I need to get some senior people in. So we're going to have that operations manager from next week. We have a new operations/office coordinator who the operations manager will be managing, and that person will be doing all our customer service, just really assisting the operations manager and helping the office run smoothly, admin stuff, bits and bobs everywhere. I have a PA who's amazing. We have 2 content producers. One of them is also like balancing like shoot production at the moment. we'll see how that goes. They're both quite new, so I'm not sure that that structure is the perfect structure at the moment, but that's the current structure. We have one designer, dressmaker, sample pattern maker. So he does all of that. I design as well. And we also work with like 3 freelance designers. So that's currently the product front. We have a marketing specialist who is incredible. We've worked with her. She has a company it's called Inner Circle Strategy. We've worked with her for like maybe 6 years now. It's been a long time.
Oh.
She's just incredible. So she handles our marketing. And that is an instance where outsourcing has really worked out. As we grow, I'm sure we'll need to bring elements of marketing in-house. But so far, it's worked really well so far, having that freelance. What else do we have? We have a print designer that's also freelance. Website design, website management, that's also freelance. Graphic design is also freelance. Oh, how could I forget Hamza? He's amazing. Our warehouse manager, he's incredible. We have him as well. So he handles all the warehouse, all the fulfillment. And when it's really busy, we just get temps in to assist him. But we're in the process of transitioning to third-party logistics, which I'm really looking forward to take us to the next level. That is what it looks like at the moment.
That is a big team that you are in charge of. I was about to ask you about 3PL actually. So you're currently shipping everything out from your place, but you're going to move it out. Yeah.
It's moving out within the next 3 months.
Yeah. And what was your decision with that? Because sometimes, you know, I've worked with somebody who does something similar to me, and they kind of worked out, and there's like pros and cons to both, isn't there? Like you can manage it, but then the cost saving, and yeah, what was like the final straw that made you go, actually, I'm gonna put it out to a 3PL?
Yes, you are absolutely correct. There are a lot of pros and cons to both. I love having everything in-house. I love managing our entire fulfillment process, because everything from being able to include a note in a customer's order, if we found out something about her online, like we found out a few customers ran the marathon, so when they ordered, we like included a note in their order. Things like that we're not going to be able to do when we move over to 3PL. I'm really glad we started out in-house, just to really, really understand our customer and get that establish that foundational relationship and that element of, direct customer service. I'm really glad we got to do that. But it's gotten to a place where our fulfillment has become a bit of a bottleneck when we are very busy during our sale periods, where it's taking us like 15 days to get an order out. It's not sustainable. We can't do that. So then it was like, do we expand our warehouse or do we do third-party logistics? I am not an inventory and fulfillment logistics specialist. I actually really dislike it. And I'm in a place in life where I want to play to my strengths. Yes, we could hire someone to do that, but with the size of our business, is it worth investing in a warehouse and in logistics? My calculation at the moment was no. So it's not, I would never say never. We probably will bring our fulfillment back in-house at some point, because as I said, I do just have something for managing the entire process because of that extra level of detail, extra care, extra attention to detail. We have found 2 really great fulfillment partners, one in the UK, one in the US. I'm hoping to really grow with. We've visited them. We've established a personal relationship. So I really have high hopes that will go well. But yeah, that was just the reason, to be able to scale and do in a way that does not put too much of a strain on our finances.
And how are you going to split your stock between US and UK? Have they given you any advice about like what other people do?
No, they haven't actually, but we've given ourselves advice based on our numbers. So it's all down to what we do at the moment in terms of the split between the orders, the revenue we get, and the number of orders we get from the 2 regions, and also like Canada being allocated to the US and that sort of thing. It also differs by style. So we've gotten very granular about it. It's not like generally, 60-40. No, it depends on the style. Some items are a lot more popular in the UK than in the US. Our tank tops a lot more popular in the UK, whereas our London bag a lot more popular in the US. So we've reflected that split.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And obviously, like the brand is huge in America. Where did that come from? Like how, obviously it's like the goal, isn't it, to like break America? Was it by accident? Was it through the viral moments? Was it through gifting, wholesale, you going back and forth to America, like your algorithm, a little bit of everything? Like what would you say has led to that?
I've always had a bigger audience in America, like from my fashion blogging days. So it's just carried on over right from the beginning of the brand. America
Yeah.
has been bigger for us, and it's helped that we subsidize the US shipping. It costs us a lot more than we charge. So as soon as we realized how important our American customer was, we were like, okay, we have to subsidize that shipping because no one wants to spend 30 pounds, right, on shipping. But yeah, it's just always been that way for us. And there are a lot more people in America, and there are a lot more Black people in America. And because I'm Black, a lot of Black women have connected to my brand. And so I'm sure that's a huge reason as well.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And like, I'm going to jump actually, because as we're talking about it, these sample sales that people have flown over from America to do, like, tell us a little bit about these kind of legendary sample sales, and like what is the most crazy thing, or like the thing that has surprised you the most about how far somebody has gone, like quite literally, to get their hands on a Kai piece?
People queuing us 4 a.m. We had 4 a.m. we had at the London sample sale. It was actually a guy queuing to buy because we had only two London bag samples
Yeah.
as our sample sale, and he wanted to buy both colors, green and black, for his woman. So he queued from 4 a.m. Was it 2 a.m.? One of them, he actually brought like a chair and camped out. That was
Wow.
insane. Our first London sample sale, we had one of our top customers flying from New York City. And then our most recent one, we had a customer flying from Connecticut. And the Connecticut one was especially crazy because we had just had our US sample sale a few months prior. So I was like, why didn't you just come to that? Because that
Yeah.
was in New York, and New York is close to Connecticut. But then she said the London one aligned with her payday. And because we've built such a community, the girls know that they're going to come and they're going to be in the queue with like-minded women, and they're probably going to make friends. And it's going to be a whole activity, a whole day out. And so
Yeah.
something that they look forward to as well. And then they get to come to a new country. But the energy around the sample sales is just out of this world. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens at the next one and where people travel from. Our next ones should be this year in Houston and Atlanta. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that goes.
Have you done one there before?
No, first time.
No. And like you said, the energy is amazing. Like, what's the vibe? Like, what? Give us a little bit of an insight into what the energy is like, because you do quite a pretty good job at like documenting the whole thing,
Yeah.
despite the chaos that must be happening behind the scenes. So
But we have
yeah.
our content, like our videographers just documenting it throughout, photographer. I would say there's two different kind of vibes. There's the
Okay.
girl that gets there at 6 a.m. She's not playing games. She wants her items. She'll make friends in the queue, but as soon as we open the door, she beelines her items. She shops. After she shops, then she can begin taking pictures, doing conversation. Up until that point, she does not want to talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Serious. She knows what she wants and she gets it. The second vibe is a bit more relaxed. This is the girl that comes for a good time. She comes for pictures. She comes to speak to the camera. She knows what she wants, but like it's not the end of the world if she doesn't get it. And she's a lot more conversational. She's there to make friends. She's there for a day out. So it's those two different kinds of vibes. It is frantic because a lot of the time we don't realize how big it's going to be because we know the next one will always be bigger than the previous one. So we scale up, we, take care of operations to go bigger, but we never quite know how much bigger it's going to be. So that's always a challenge. Yeah. So it's very much frantic energy, but very much still girlhood. We're in this together. The girls are helping each other find what they want. The girls are complimenting each other, telling each other this color doesn't look good on you, this will look better, that kind of energy.
I love it. You've really sold it to me. I want to go. And
Wow.
with the sales then, so how do they tie into like online sales, or is there no online sales and it's just like, this is the way to get something if you want it discounted?
One online sale a year, every year in March/April, usually in March. And
Yeah.
then the sample sales, we don't have it timetabled. Like we had one in London last year. We will not have one this year. We might have one next year. It's just whenever we have enough samples and enough stock to have another one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We had a Lagos pop-up just recently. I'm trying to get into a space where we have our operations built up to the point where every year we have a bit of a world tour, or an American tour at least. So this year, as I said, we'll have Houston and Atlanta. I want to make sure that every year we are traveling to our customer. I want to go to every single country our customer is based. Canada is a priority. Australia is a priority. We have a huge Australia base. We really need to rebuild our Europe business after Brexit, because the girls in Europe want Kai so badly, but they do not want to pay those awful customs. So we really need to find a way to take Kai to them. So Europe is like a huge priority in my mind.
Yeah. And do you think these like in-person events are the things that have really helped build that community? Because there's one thing that where everyone's like following you, but I feel like these events really allow everyone to speak to each other as well.
Absolutely, they've been crucial. It's incremental, so things have built up on things. It's not just the community, but it's stacking different levels of community. Even things like our tote bags that we send our items in, we used to use boxes. Boxes were very clunky, very expensive for us, not only in the price of the box, because obviously a tote bag is more expensive, but also in the storage and in the shipping cost. So we replaced our boxes with tote bags. Tote bags are very expensive, but girls see each other on the tube with the tote bag, and it's like, you know what? Real recognize real. They have a moment where both Kai girls. So it's things like that we stacked on top of each other. But the events are absolutely key, and we're looking to do a lot more niche events, right? So we have like our huge moments of the sample sale, but we want to do a lot more, like, I don't know, not rowing, but like where the rowing girls come together and we want to do an event for them. The knitters come together and we do an event for them. The girls who love music, the DJs come together. We have some DJ sets. So we're trying to get very granular about community. And I think a lot of people, and I've been guilty of this as well, see community as like, I need 100,000, I need 200,000, I need 1,000,000. And that's what community is to them. Whereas you'd be surprised by how much people with 1,000 followers can move product. 50 strong, dedicated followers is better than 200 wishy-washy followers, much better. So we want to connect to those 10 girls that are very passionate about football, for example, and bring them together rather than just relying on those huge moments.
Because then they will connect that back to you, obviously, to be like, she was the one that introduced me to these people. Like, I still remember people that have introduced me to like girlfriends that I know for forever now, and I'm like, I will always remember that woman was the one that connected me to them. And it does make you feel something, doesn't it? And there is so much like content online, which I do want to talk about as well, because you're so good at it, but it is saturated. And I feel like there is a bit of a shift going back towards like old school marketing, you know, events, meeting people, getting people together, similar interests, you know, kind of, just stripping it back a little bit and doing things that do take a little bit more effort, which is probably why people aren't doing them, but they really, really pay off. And you have seen that obviously as well. Yeah. And so let's talk about marketing, because your aesthetics online are amazing. Like, they are like full blown film productions that I'm seeing on your Instagram. What is your strategy and approach for your marketing from the beginning, 2025, like in the future? Kind of, how do you approach content and how do you feel towards it? Do you get overwhelmed? Just give me a little brain dump about your marketing online.
That's such a huge compliment, because I would say when it comes to content, we haven't found our flow. We're actually really, really in the midst of it. Like, we're not creating content that connects as much as it should on platforms like TikTok. So we're very much still figuring it out. I would say we've gotten really good at the campaigns and the big stuff. For me, it's just about creating content that makes people feel something, cultural moments, tapping into our audience, really, really knowing who our audience is and creating for them based on what they're interested in. So this is things from doing like big surveys to asking them questions on stories to find out more about who they are. I also know that I'm very much the Kai girl. So creating content that and campaigns that connect to me has always been very good. But for me, with content, you just really have to make people feel something. But that's very difficult to do when it's like short form TikTok, here today, gone tomorrow. And so that's really my struggle. To create in a way that connects, where it's just like the quick stuff that we can't afford to spend too much time on. That's what I'm really trying to figure out at the moment.
Yeah, you're like a deep girl. You like the deep, meaningful conversations, taking your time, and like, what was it, your recent campaign when you launched the bag and you filmed it in a strip club and she was putting all the money in the bag? Like, I've just never seen anyone market a bag like that. There, I speak to people and sometimes they're like, oh, it's just a bag. And I'm like, no, it's so much more than that. Like, it's not just anything. Like, if you're going to launch this into the world, like, why? Like, how do you see it out in the world? And that was just so iconic. But yeah, I get what you mean, that if you're used to that kind of content that is so out there, how do you then break that down into something that is super quick? But maybe you don't need to, and it's very memorable what you do.
Figuring it out. We're still figuring out. Maybe we'll find that it's not for us, but we're trying at the moment. But yeah, the Get the Bag campaign was amazing. So I originally wanted to show the bag on different types of women. And I mentioned it in the office, like, okay, I want to show the bag on a stripper. I want to show the bag on a mom doing the school run. And then I wanted to do all of that within one video. And then Mia, who worked with us at the time, was like, oh, for the stripper, you could do Get the Bag. Because, the phrase Get the Bag was popularized in strip club culture. And I was like, you know what? Scrap showing it on all types of women. We are just
focus on the stripper.
Get the bag in the strip club, direct. It makes so much sense. And it just all came to life so beautifully. I have a boyfriend, fiance now, who lives in Houston, Texas, where there's a big hip hop strip club culture. So I knew that he'd be very into producing that. He's also a producer. So it was when we did our pop-up in New York. We flew to Houston, we got that done. It was so much fun. And it did amazing for us. We had a lot of uproar, like for a lot of people who were not happy about us glamorizing sex work. But sex work is work, and it's representative of the population. Like, there are women.
It's real life.
It's real life, and they work high. I will never alienate them just to please people who are very much into respectability politics. It's a job. They're doing their job. They work high. If they work high, we're going to represent them at high. That was my reasoning, and it was amazing. Like, I'm not someone who works in a strip club, but I have been to strip clubs, and because I don't see myself in a stripper, which I do, because at the end of the day, they're a woman, does not mean that I cannot relate to that. It's just the same way that I see myself in a Michelle Obama or a billionaire. I can't relate to her quality of life and what she's achieved, but I can relate to her as a woman because we have a lot of the same ambitions. We have a lot of the same struggles as women. So I think that culture is about representation and tapping into different types of women and seeing yourself in different aspects of them.
Yeah. I mean, I'm speechless. I got goosebumps when you were talking. And it is very instantly recognizable. So did you kind of build that brand identity as you were growing, or do you feel like would you say you're the creative director of the business or the CEO or both? Like, where does your role sit within the business, like within different, like there's so many different areas, isn't there, to manage at any one time?
I started out creative director. I would say now I wear more the CEO hat.
Yeah.
Don't have a creative director at the moment. We had a really good creative manager who left about a month ago. She was with us for like 4 years. She was amazing. I balance it all, but I would say I'm working now more on CEO kind of roles. I am currently looking for an arts director. So if you know anyone, holla at me. Yeah, I am very good at the creative, but when you have to do so much of the non-creative, it doesn't leave me with as much time as I would like to spend on the creative, you know?
Yeah. What does your week tend to look like then?
Very different. I'm currently very, very exhausted and burned out. That's why I'm like so excited for this operations manager to start. But I start off the week at the Kai offices on Monday, where that's when we have our team meetings. Start off with a lot of energy. On Tuesdays, we work from home, still working on Kai. I'm trying to get a bit more structure, but recently it looks like Wednesdays still on Kai, but mostly like client facing, or you know, things like this, a podcast. Thursday I tend to work more on my content for my personal channels, and also content I do for Kai. And Friday is just whatever comes at me and just trying to make it to the weekend. But I am trying to get a bit more structure. It's really all over the place. It's whatever needs me whenever. Does that make sense? But my goal this summer is to have a structure. So Monday Kai, Tuesday this, Wednesday this, Thursday personal content. I really, really want a structure, because I think my lack of structure is really working against me at the moment.
Yeah. I always end up sounding like Monica from Friends when I talk about like organized fun, but you do think like putting more structure would make you feel more like restricted, and it's absolutely not the case. Like when you start putting everything into your diary that you have to do like daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, you're actually left with like a lot of time. Absolutely. But you know, and you start thinking, well, actually, if everything is blocked in there that I have to do, all the rest of the time I can just like have fun and not worry about things that I'm not doing. Whereas if you don't have that structure, you just feel guilty 100% of the time because you feel like you're not doing your job properly. And you mentioned also that you have your own personal page. How do you flip between the two? Like what goes on your page versus Kai's page? Like how visible do you want to be on the Kai's page if you have your own page? Like mentally, what's the split, or is there not one at the moment?
How visible would you say I am on Kai? Like, would you say I'm the face of Kai?
I would say you are the face of Kai, but personally, from watching on the outside, sometimes I don't know what I'm watching. You know, if you're just like flicking through really quickly, I think it's hard because I know you. But I know we used to be in Stackwell together at the same time, and I knew you as the founder of Kai before I met you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been a huge goal to not be the brand anymore.
Yeah.
And I think if you go to our page, I'm the face of Kai because like I always was that kind of thing. It started, but I would say now firstly, Kai has more followers than me, finally. Yay. And also I'm not in every campaign at all. I'm not in every piece of content. You could go to the Kai page and not even realize that I'm the founder of Kai. And that's exactly what I want. I'm trying to build a brand that's a lot bigger than I am. And also I want to get my time back and my life back. And that involves slowly separating from the brand. So I have a personal brand that does not entirely revolve around Kai, because that's very important to me as well. Love Kai, believe in Kai, want to keep growing Kai, have no plans to exit the business. But it's very important to me to have a life and work outside of it, just because you just never know what might happen. And I just need to build that personal brand outside of Kai. So I would say every 3 posts on my channel, 1 is Kai. But I also, and I love fashion. I'm such a fashion girl. I love to wear things that are not my brand. And so it's very important to me to keep me creative, to feature a lot of other brands as well. So yeah, I would say that I would not call myself the face of Kai anymore. I'd call myself one of the the biggest advocate of Kai, if we put it that way, but we're very much intentionally trying to build it past just me.
Yeah, the biggest fangirl out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the last thing I wanted to ask you about, which sounds like a bit boring now in comparison to all of that, but I know people love hearing like the nerdy stuff behind the scenes as well. It's just like, are there any systems or tools that kind of make your life easier? So, you know, from design or shipping or marketing, is there anything that is like, I would not be able to live without that?
I'm trying to think. Notion recently has been amazing.
Yeah.
Because we've been struggling with content. We were struggling with content, still are. So we brought in someone called Ella Hewitt. She built up Lux Collective's TikTok back in the day. She was very good. She worked for them for, I think, about a year or two. And so we brought her in just to give us some advice on content. And she shared this content template on Notion that has really been life-changing for me personally. So that's been great. I would say we don't have the best systems as a business, and that is something that I'm relying heavily on the operations manager for. We do a lot of Excel, but I know that we could be doing a lot better. I just found out about, is it Gorgeous? Gorgeous is how it's
Yes, Rakaya mentioned that. Yeah.
Yes. I think it was in our group that I found out about it after we went for lunch, actually. So we're about to implement that. I'm trying to think what else in terms of systems. I think that's the main one at the moment, the Notion. But it's time. It's time to graduate. It's time to use a lot more software, and we're doing that. I also am very curious about how to simplify our lives using AI. So I asked my team to go find how to simplify their job using AI. This was about a few months ago, and everyone came back with different things. I've forgotten the platform, but there's this platform where when we're putting together decks for our shoots, we can just search for like references, film references, and it'll give it to us. Like you can put in girl brushing her hair or whatever, and it'll give you a film reference. That has been really good.
That sounds amazing. Yeah. And like whilst you mentioned it, like how are you personally using AI, if at all, like within the business? Because it's so hard. I actually can't believe I've got to episode 10 and not really spoken about it that much, considering how much people are using it day to day. And I feel like people feel kind of ashamed about using it, or like it's a secret and like, oh, don't say that I use ChatGPT.
So I very much use ChatGPT. I think I would say I use ChatGPT now every single day of my life.
Same.
I spoke on a panel at Meta recently, and they revealed that women use AI a lot less than men, and it's actually holding us back at work because we feel like we're cheating. We never want to take the easy way out, and I really hate that for us. I'm very using AI. AI will never replace my brain. I'm a very smart woman. I'm a very hardworking woman, but being smart is actually using AI to simplify my life, and I'm very, very into that. I have mostly been using ChatGPT, to be honest, but I asked actually on Twitter a few months ago about what other AI platforms people are using, and I had such good responses. So I need to go back there. It's just I just haven't really had the time to dive into it. But it's a priority for me.
Yeah, it's so interesting hearing how other people are using it. Like I have a fashion mastermind or fashion business mastermind group with anyone so kind of who's back registered and over. And I asked them, I was like, right, I all want you to share how you are using it. And it was so fascinating, like the different ways people were using it. And some people were using it to create imagery. Some people were using it for like product descriptions, copywriting, I think is pretty standard. But like, yeah, just seeing behind the scenes, using it for their Facebook ads as well, saying, you know, this is how I've set it up. How would you improve it? Like, I can't see why this is converting. Can you give me advice on how it would, like what difference you would make to it?
Okay. I mean, thank you. That's a gem.
Yeah, but I really like what you said as well about how can I simplify my job? Like that's so simple. That's such a simple prompt, but makes sense.
The film one, I forget what it is, but it's really, really amazing. It helps us build out our decks for our campaigns, but I forget the name now.
It's fine. We'll figure it out. I'll find it and put it in the notes. So the last thing then is like, what's next for Kai Collective? An operations manager, definitely. Is there any like new categories that you want to move into product wise, or any kind of
Sure.
what's next? Tell us.
New categories coming. Some really big stuff coming next year in terms of categories. In terms of this year, we have sunglasses coming. There is US expansion with the US warehouse. There's absolute US domination. Also Canada. And there is, as I said, world tours and connecting with our fan base in every single place on the face of the earth that they exist. Rebuilding the Europe business is a huge priority for us. And I'm not a physical store person permanently, at least at this moment. But next year, I really want to have like a London store for like, 3 months, like a long-term pop-up. Very much into that at the moment. And events, way more events. As I said, niche events, just really connecting to our community in real life and helping them discover new hobbies. And I think as adults, we're so stuck into work. And if we can be part of the lives of our communities, helping them discover new hobbies, making it easier for them to prioritize their hobbies and not just be stuck in work all the time, that would be real success for us.
Yeah, that's like, why is that so important to you? Is it because it's like important to you personally, like not to be so attached to the work? Because obviously you mentioned that with your personal brand.
Yeah.
You feel like you'd kind of want to share that with your audience as well.
Yeah, I think I'm really struggling with disconnecting with work, and it's really affecting my personal life. My friend told me recently that I've lost my spark because I'm just so obsessed with work, which was quite sad. So yeah, I am passionate about getting my spark back and rebuilding my life outside of work. And I am passionate about helping the brand, helping other women do that as well.
The same. Yeah. What hobby do you think you'll end up doing?
I'm not sure, it's a tricky one because I love shopping, but that's still
Yeah.
shopping and just archiving and styling makes me so happy. But I want to, I used to be very big with gym. I'm still 2 days a week, but I want to be like a lot more invested in gym and my cooking. I want to spend a lot more time cooking because I really care what enters my body.
Yeah, I get
want
that.
to be able to make more different things. I used to do tennis, so I want to go back to that as well. I'd say those are the main things at the moment.
I look forward to like checking back in with you and being like, how's that tennis going? I want to hear all about it. And the outfits as well. You can get like a whole new outfit just for that.
Exactly. But then my problem is I make everything work. So tennis collection.
Yeah. Aprons for the cooking and
exactly.
All right, so we've got a quick fire round. What is the most recent thing that you bought that you are obsessed with?
I just bought a pair of products from Fisayo Collective, which I picked up when I went to Spain. I just got back yesterday. I sent it to my hotel in Spain to avoid customs fees. And yeah, I love them.
Love. And what is something that you are really proud of, but that you very rarely say out loud?
That is a very good question. I'm very proud of how much I've changed as a person. I've become a lot more patient with people and a lot more people oriented. I'm an introvert. I'm not a very people person, but I think I've done a really good job with like building and keeping team and helping team achieve their full potential. So I'm proud of how I relate to people. It's a lot better than it used to be.
Yeah, when it doesn't come like that naturally to you. Yeah. And I actually wrote this not knowing that you were going to say this earlier, but my last one is, what has been bringing you peace recently?
What did I say?
Well, just like the fact that you're seeking more peace generally.
Yes,
and so now I'm like, what has been bringing you peace?
What has been bringing me peace? So year before last, it was TV. I never used to watch TV, and then it was TV. And then now I've let that go because now I'm back being obsessed with work. Traveling with my partner.
Yeah.
And just our conversations and him trying to get me to not be working all the time. Spending time together and having a lot of chats about our future and our family that we want to build. That's been bringing me peace.
So cute. What a lovely way to end. That is so sweet. And thank you so much for being so like honest and generous. You know, you are still struggling with your content, and I think from the outside people would just never know that. So yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation. So thank you so much.
I loved it.
And yeah, not just the glossy bits, but also the team as well, the systems, and it's all a part of what makes the brand so special. So this is actually the final episode of the season, and I just want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's been listening. And if you've enjoyed this series so far, or even just this episode, it would mean the world if you could rate, review, and subscribe. And I'll see you next season.
Fashion founders, let's talk about something your brand can't exist without. Words. You already know your designs are incredible and your vision is clear, but something is missing. If you're feeling invisible in the fashion world, struggling to sound consistent across platforms, or feeling fed up not knowing what to say in your marketing, then you need the Visionary, the ultimate brand voice masterclass by Studio C. Led by Studio C founder Charlotte Ferris, this on-demand masterclass harnesses a decade of experience to guide you through all things brand voice so you can shape your signature sound and transform casual followers into loyal customers. What you say and how you say it is infinitely powerful. Mastering your brand voice isn't just about writing better, it's about building a voice that's unmistakably yours, one that speaks authentically and connects you endlessly to your dream customers. I know firsthand how fundamental finding your brand voice is, which is why I worked with Studio C to write the copy for my website back when I first became a fashion brand consultant. So if you're ready to make your fashion brand stand out, head to studioc.uk today to join the Visionary, the ultimate brand voice masterclass, and get ready for your brand to break through the noise.